Welcome to Real Thoughts with Bob Benham. I'm your host, Bob Benham. We're starting my second episode. How about that? And let's get to some really good thoughts this week, or this episode, I should say. And we're going to get kicked off with the upcoming election. And the first thing I want to talk about with this coming election is uh, the polls that are out there. The first thing I want to say about those polls is don't believe them. The last two elections, I'm talking about 2022 and the 2020 election, and I would venture to say even the 2018 election, those polls were all terrible. Uh, they didn't predict anything. They were all off. They were all just not even close to what the pulse of the nation was. Especially 2020 and 2022. 2020 was, you would have thought for sure they would have had some idea of what was going on. For, I mean, there was so much wrong with the 2020 election. I mean, it was a joke. That's all we can say about it. There was just so much about it. I mean, you cannot convince me that Joe Biden was more popular than Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Barack Obama had 67, 68 million votes when he was elected. Hillary Clinton, right around the same. And you're going to tell me Joe Biden had 81 million votes? He was that popular? No. No. No way. And especially with Donald Trump coming in with 71 million votes as a Republican, which is unheard of in terms of number of votes for a Republican. Can't compare. Just no, it's just impossible. So yeah, that's. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke, and the joke was on us. That's all you can say about that. The joke was on us, and in all my whole life, and then the night of the president or the day of the presidential election, I have never heard of them stopping the count on the night of the election or pausing it, whatever you want to call it, and then 4 hours later restarting the count and continuing until they came up with a supposed winner or whatever. So I've just never heard of that happening. And then them placing cardboard on the windows so no one could watch the count happening, blocking everyone's view. Um, just way too much irregularities. Um, there's just way, I mean, it just, no. The joke was on us. The joke was on the American people. And of course, the Democrats are going to say, "Oh, it was a fair election." Well, yeah, your guy got 81 million votes. Astonishingly, and how that occurred, um, we can't explain it, um, except for all these phantom boxes being pulled out from under tables out of nowhere. Um, all these boxes of votes showing up from wherever. And uh, plus, with all these supposed photocopies of votes, with just one checkbox on the ballot, and it was for Joe Biden and nobody else. Then you have where Donald Trump was leading in all these states where the vote count stopped. And then when the vote count resumed, all of a sudden he was behind. How did that happen? If the vote count stopped, it should have resumed at the same total and not where there should, it just should have, it should, that's just common sense. There shouldn't have been any change in the count, but somehow all these thousands of votes occurred, and now one candidate that was in the lead is now behind. Please. All these, you're going to tell me we have stupid written across our foreheads. I'm sorry. No. Like I said, the joke was on us. There's too much that, I mean, if I were still a cop and I was working a case, there's a lot of evidence there that I would definitely take to a prosecutor and say, "Hey, here's this, and this, and this." And granted, there's not a supposed law for that says all this stuff, but there's so much there that a prosecutor would look at it and go, "Wow, yeah, there's something there." And that's just how it is. I mean, there's no other way to look at it or to explain it. That's just how it is. So for our friends on the left, the Democrats, for them to say, "Oh no, it was a fair election," blah blah blah. We want it fair and square, blah, blah whatever. You can't sell me that. You just can't sell me that. No matter how hard you try, you just can't. So, I mean, for when I hear Donald Trump say, "Hey, they stole the election," um, he's making a very, very solid point, and I can't say that I don't agree with him because with all this evidence that's there, um, he's right. And what makes me so angry is that the court system refused to take the cases on, saying that he lacked standing to bring the cases to court. Um, that was another one that puzzled me. How did he lack standing to bring the cases to court, considering that he was basically the victim in that? But this is where I'm thinking the courts are starting to become too politicized, and in all reality, um, they are becoming politicized. Uh, you can see that happening too across the spectrum, especially with all these charges that have occurred against the former president. Especially that case that occurred in New York with charges that came from non-existent laws. They have yet to come up with the specific code that the former president was charged with. They can't name them. That's because there are none. So it's funny how they claim he's a convicted felon, but convicted of what? When you ask them what's the specific charges, they can't tell you. They just can't. That's because they don't exist. Anyway, back to the whole election garbage thing. The polls, like I said, don't believe them because they're all when it happens with polls, it's based on who they decide to call and the numbers of Democrats, Republicans, whoever the people lean toward, and then that's how they come up with their sampling and who they claim is leading. So if they oversample Democrats, of course the Democrat is going to be the leader. If they oversample the Republican's going to be the leader. If they oversampled, if say there was an independent running, the independent would be the leader. So you just can't believe what the polls say. You just can't. They come up with this margin of error thing. So, well, we'll get it within the margin of error to make it where it's a close election. Please. So I don't put any stock at all in these polls whatsoever. Same with these political endorsements. They are, take for example, the endorsement of the Teamsters. Here you have the Teamsters failing to endorse either candidate. They did a no endorsement. But then again, they did a rank and file vote to see who they would endorse. And it was just shy of 2/3, like 60%, of their members voted to endorse Donald Trump. So you got 60% voting to endorse Donald Trump, but yet and still the union leadership decided not to endorse anyone. That don't make any sense either. So you got the rank and file saying, yeah, we want President Trump. We endorse him. And then the leadership says, well, we're not going to endorse anybody. That makes sense. They fail to speak for their members. Not surprising. Not surprising. Then there's all these groups that come out. There was just one today. I can't remember the name of it now. I had it. I just read about it. It's some kind of police leadership thing that said that they come out for Kamala Harris. And because she's such a leader in crime and law and order and all that garbage. And I just read that stuff and I went, you got to be kidding me. Where are these people's heads at? I don't get it. You got the FOP, National Fraternal Order of Police. Get my tongue from being untied. The largest police union in the United States, endorsing former President Trump. And then you got the majority of just police officers in general endorsing President Trump because of his very firm backing of law and order and firm backing in helping the police. Kamala Harris she's her claiming that she isn't for the defund the police, her claiming that she wasn't for that bailing out of criminals in the riots of 2020 when they were burning down Minneapolis and all the other cities in the United States. When she had it right on her Twitter account, which it's still there. Come on. She hates the police. She always has hated the police. When you hear of sheriff's organizations and police officers and all these other areas that say the same thing, that she was just a figurehead, they're in name only, whatever. I believe them in a second. I wouldn't put anything past her. I don't believe her for a second. She's been caught in way too many lies. And once a liar, always a liar. That was one thing that when I was a police officer, if you got caught lying and your career was over, done, you couldn't do anything. Because your trust was just over with. You couldn't go into a court of law to testify to anything, because as soon as you got on that stand, the first thing that a defense attorney was going to ask you was, well, officer, isn't it true that you lied about this? And you're going to have to say yes. Well, why should we believe any of your testimony right now? Well, I'm not lying now, but you admitted to lying just now. Well, yeah, done, over. That jury is going, I ain't believing him. Your trust with the community is dead. So, you know, and she's running for public office. She is going to, if she were to get elected, she is going to get up there and swear on a Bible to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. She's lying that she's going to do that. She's not going to do anything of the sort. She's already proven that she's not going to do that. How could we trust her? I can't. And I won't. So, I mean, you know, that's just my whole, that's based on fact. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of people go, oh, the fact checkers, blah, 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 blah. I will tell you something right now. In my whole life, there has never been anything called fact checkers or anything until the last 10 years, maybe 15 years. And that's because all of a sudden, all this political correctness and wokeness and everything else that came up, and people were telling the truth, and that's when the fact checkers came out and said, that's a lie. Because the facts don't lie. So they had to have these people that were supposedly fact checkers come out and say, that's a lie, or that's misinformation. So now you got everybody on both sides of a fact saying, well, that's a lie, this is a lie, blah, blah, blah. And nobody knows what's real and what's not. Nobody. You've got a handful of people out here trying their darndest to tell people what's real. I'm one of them. Because I've had enough with this crap that's going on with the media and everybody else that's spreading so much crap. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. It's time for somebody to stand up and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is the truth of it all. If you don't like it, fine. Don't listen to me. If you don't like what I'm telling you, don't listen to me. That's just how it is. but I'm just going to tell you how it is. I've never been one to sugarcoat anything. You can ask my family, my friends, my former coworkers. Unfortunately, I got that from my dad. God rest his soul. I've been planning on doing this podcast for 2 years. Unfortunately, these last 2 years have been very trying on me personally. And it's taken me that long to finally get everything set to where I can actually sit down and start doing it. And say, hey, it actually took that second assassination attempt on former President Trump to say, whoa, this is enough. Enough is enough. People in this country have totally lost their frickin' minds. And it's time to tell them how it is and to knock this crap off. We can have civil discussion. I'm open to it. I don't have any hatred for anybody. I grew up in the 80s. We loved everybody. We didn't hate anyone. But it's time for this crap to stop. I mean, it's just nuts. You got these political ads, just, downright just ugliness, plain outright ugliness. The name calling, the with all these, well, so and so did this. They can't be trusted. Blah 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 blah. Everybody's done something in their life that's just can be called out on something, myself included. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. The only one that was perfect resides up there in heaven. His name's God. Even Jesus wasn't perfect. Jesus committed sin himself, and he will admit that. The only one that was perfect was God. So, there's a lot there. We got a lot to go. But I was just to kind of wrap things up with this election for today. I'm tired of the garbage. I'm tired of it. And we have got a long way to go. God, we're probably about 45 days or so out from this election. Voting has already started. So, for those of you that are voting, get out there, vote. Vote for who you want. I can't tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. But I'm just telling you that we know who lies terribly. We know who has helped this country and where things were really doing really well. I know for myself personally, things were doing very well while President Trump was in office. I know when President Obama was in office, I struggled horribly. I know when President Biden, with him in office, and with Vice President Harris, I'm back to struggling. I'm worse off with those two in office than I was with President Obama. And I was struggling horribly with them in office. But I know with President Trump, things were really good. So I know where my vote's going. But you have to vote based on your conscience. I can't vote for. I just can't vote for people who lie. And I can't vote for people who are going to harm me. And I can't vote for people who are going to harm my family, who are going to harm my friends, and who are going to definitely harm my country. And they've already proven that they're going to do all of that. So with that, we've got more coming up in episodes that are forthcoming. Hopefully on the next episode, I want to talk about NASCAR because this last race at Bristol was horrific. If anybody watched that, which it looks like not too many people are anymore. I remember back in the mid 90s to early 2000s, boy, you could not get a ticket to go to any race. They were all sold out, and I was going to quite a few of them back then. And in the popularity of NASCAR, I mean, when I first started going to NASCAR, it was funny. I used to buy decals of the car numbers of the drivers I followed closely and were favorites of mine, and I put their car numbers on the back window of my vehicles, and people would be like, "What the heck is that?" I'd be like, "Oh, that's so and so's number and blah blah blah," and they'd be like, "Oh, you follow NASCAR?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I love NASCAR. It's a lot of fun." And all of a sudden, I start seeing it everywhere. I was one of the first ones that had it on my cars, and all of a sudden, it started popping up everywhere. And then it started tapering off because they started doing NASCAR just lost its way. Once Bill France Jr. gave up the reins back in 2003, just NASCAR has not been the same. sadly. And so now it's this new car that they have is horrendous. I don't consider it a car, um, a race car. I don't know what it is. It's I just don't. It's basically like the old slot cars from years ago, plastic bodies and it. I don't know. I can't. I just can't describe it. Um, but this last race, I mean, I'm not taking anything from Kyle Larson. He had a great setup under his car to be able to lead the number of laps he did. Uh, but I mean, the race was a snoozer. I mean, nobody could pass, nobody could do anything. Um, Bristol Motor Speedway, they screwed up years ago by changing the banking from 36 degrees to what is it, 28, I think now. They should have left it alone at 36. The racing was much, much better. Yeah, it was one groove. Who cares? That's when you got to see the bumping going on. And okay, so the guy got knocked up a groove. Whatever. There's just too much that's just not right. Anyway, that's what I want to discuss in the next episode. So if you're not too much in a NASCAR, you could probably skip it. If not, join me. It could be interesting. Maybe not. But anyway, we're going to talk about it and have some fun with it. Plus, we're going to try to talk about some of the drivers that have been in and out of the sport over the years, and some of them are still relevant. Some of them, they've kind of stepped back. But anyway, we're going to have some fun with it. Try to anyway. And with that, hopefully, like I said, get out, vote, and hopefully the election will have a good outcome for our country. We need it. That's all I can say about it. And with that, everybody take care. God bless, and God bless the USA. Until next time, it's Bob Benham saying take care.